For a long time, Illustrator users wanted an easy way of applying a gradient to the stroke of an object, and finally, in the CS6 version, we got our wish. But before we go use it, I want to give you an explanation because there are kind of three directions or three techniques that a gradient on a stroke can go. The first method is called within, and when you use within, Illustrator applies the gradient as though the stroke is a filled object and simply goes from one end to the other end. The second method is called along, and that's kind of cool. The gradient runs along the path of the stroke. And the third method is called across, and the gradient runs perpendicular from the inside to the outside, or from the outside to the inside. Also, keep in mind that the difference here between within and across applies only when you have a filled object, because if you have an open path, well, there is no inside and outside, and if you use within and across, they'll look the same exact way. Okay, you got all that? Good, because now we're going to go and use it. The file I have open is called Wine Bottle, and you'll find it in the Chapter 5 folder of the project files. Make sure you have the regular selection tool and click the wine bottle. And when you do, you can see up here that it has a 14-point stroke and it's a solid kind of dark purplish. We apply a gradient using the same tools, the same panels that we use to apply a gradient to a fill. So over here, I'm going to click the gradient panel, and I want to tear that off, so I'll just drag this off here. I also want the swatches panel, so I'll click the swatches panel and drag that off. So leave the bottle selected, and we'll activate the gradient. Click underneath the color slider bar here. And as soon as you do, it gives us the default black to white. And it's also applying the default, you can see up here the button is selected within, and it's linear. So you can see the white is starting on the left edge here. This is the farthest to the left. And as it goes across from left to right, it just gets gradually darker. And you see black is on the right side, and we come out over here. But let's apply some more interesting colors. Because we have this purple bottle, let's give it a gradient from white to purple. So leave the white where it is, and take that black slider, just click the black slider, make sure it's selected, and we want to fill that with this purplish. Now, you don't want to just click the purple, because if you do, then you're going to make the entire stroke solid purple. So you want to hold down the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac. So again, make sure this slider is selected, hold down the Alt key or the Option key, and then click that. And now you see we have from white to purple, and again, it's going within from the left side straight across to the right side. Oh, that's pretty nice, but let's see what happens if we do the second method. If we do along the stroke, click that, and now you see what's happening is we have white starting here down in the lower right corner, and it just gets gradually more and more purple, less and less white, as it goes along the path, along the outside of the bottle. And to see the perpendicular method, that is the across method, leave it selected, and that's this button over here, across the stroke. And now you see we have kind of a fuzziness, because it's a gradient along a very, very small area, right? It's the width here, but you see at each point it's going perpendicular. It's just deselect so you can see that. All right, let's select it back again, because I want to show you kind of the other half of this. Simply going to go back to within, to where we started. And you see over here, this is linear. Click the drop down, and instead of linear, we'll try radial. So those are the two types of gradients. Whether you're dealing with strokes or fills, you could have either linear or radial, and then you can have these individual strokes within that. So the first one here, within the stroke, what's happening is it's still going from left to right, but it's kind of radial as it goes. So that looks pretty nice. The second one here, again, along the stroke, choose that, and it's, again, simply tracing along the edge, but it's doing it in a radial fashion. But here is the best effect for this particular drawing, and that is leave it as radial and choose across the stroke. And that gives it this really neat neon effect. Let me deselect it. So you can see it's going perpendicular at each edge, but it's radial, so it's starting in the middle and radiating outwards. So that's a nice kind of glowing, almost neon effect. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. It really depends on what you want. So on your own, select the path of the wine glass and apply a stroke to it. Have fun.